I vote to honor all the people who never could, because they weren't allowed to. But I can.
Vote.
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 I need you to vote. And that's the truth, Ruth.
Vote. Vote.
Vote.
You've organized. You've protested. Now it's time to vote.
Vote. Vote.
Vote.
Vote.
Vote. I vote because my vote is my power. My power is my vote. Vote.
Vota.
Vote.
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 Yes, I'm talking to you. Go vote.
Vote.
Your vote counts.
Vote.
Vote.
Please vote.
Vote.
Vote like your life depends on it, because it does.
Vota.
Vote. Vote. Vote.
Vote. Vote.
Vote.
Vote.
Vote. Vote.
Vote. Vote.
Vote.
If people don't vote, no matter what, nothing will change. Vote.
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 Vote. Let's overwhelm the vote. Vote like your future depends on it, because it does. Get your friends, tell your family, and get out and vote.
Welcome to Kennedy Center's Arts Across America. Today's program is hosted by Sankofa.org. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, our website, and as well IG. And while we're talking about IG, please visit the voting guide, where you can find lots of information on where your polling stations are, where your primaries are, and other things that can connect you to an easier pathway to the ballot. Let us acknowledge the ancestors. Those who have come before us, our Native American and Indigenous and African ancestors who fought so hard and paved a way for us to be here together today, right here, right now. We've got a great show today. I hope that video was inspiring and gets you up off the couch to register and certainly to vote. Now, check out this new video from artist Leven Kali, his song, La La La.
Everybody knows we're all pink on the inside, babe, and you're just like the rest of us. Everybody knows we're all pink on the inside, babe, on the inside, baby. Yeah. I'ma smile when I see you. If you Muslim or you Hebrew, if you eating or you need food, cause all of that is see-through. But we know people on the ground get so evil. In the darkness there's the moonlight. So if someone's looking down, we gon' show them what we sound like. You know the music, you know the words. This song is my song, this song is yours. I wanna hear the world sing. I wanna hear the world sing. I wanna hear the world sing. Wanna hear you sing la 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 la. Sing la 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 la. Everybody knows we're all pink on the inside, babe, and you're just like the rest of us, yeah. Everybody knows we're all pink on the inside, babe, on the inside, baby. I wanna hear the world, I wanna hear the world sing, I wanna hear the world sing, wanna hear you sing la 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 la. La 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 la, hey. La, 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 la. I wanna hear the world say, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, you know the music, you know the words. This song is my song, this song is yours. I wanna hear the world say, yeah, yeah. Wanna hear the world say, I wanna hear you all say, wanna hear you sing, la 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 la. La 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 la, sing la 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 la, sing la 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 la. All right, much love to everybody watching. I'm Leven Kali. That was Saul on bass, Cam on drums, Brian on the keys, and Vita and Day singing with me. Everybody get registered to vote, and make sure you go vote. And I'll see y'all soon. Peace.
Welcome, welcome, welcome again to Kennedy Center's Arts Across America, hosted by Sankofa.org. Oh, that was so refreshing. That was Leven Kali. Leven was born in the Netherlands and raised in Santa Monica, and has been making waves in the music industry since his first independent single, Joy, in 2017. That performance was real joy. You can check him out at levenkali.com or on any music performance platform. I'm Gina Belafonte. I'm the executive director of Sankofa.org, and we welcome you here today. Like his song says, I want to hear the world sing la 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 la. Everyone knows we're all pink inside. Like so many artists, Leven uses his art to inspire hope and promise that we can see the humanity in ourselves and others. In this extraordinary time of uncertainty due to a global pandemic, and as the nation faces its history of systemic racism and oppression, the Kennedy Center's promise to celebrate all who contribute to culture of the United States becomes paramount to addressing inequity and ensuring the livelihood of our artists and art forms. Through Arts Across America, we seek to utilize our digital platforms to connect and uplift the stories and art of communities from across the country, while also providing much needed support to artists. The Kennedy Center is working with Sankofa.org to curate performances from geo-diverse locations across the country to uplift and tell the story of their communities in the time of coronavirus. This is as much a celebration of the community that surrounds the artist as it is about the art itself. Sankofa.org is honored to present today's program, A Conversation with March for Our Lives. In fact, we're going to hand over the rest of today's programming over to March for Our Lives. Please welcome, I'm so honored to introduce March for Our Lives National Organizing Director, Maxwell Frost. Maxwell, take it away, brother.
Thank you so much, Gina. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us today as we discuss with an amazing panel of individuals the intersections between art and activism and how these two things are indivisible. I personally believe that artists represent the best of our humanity, not because of any personal characteristics or decisions, but because they've decided to take part in a tradition that transcends everything and brings people to a vulnerable place where the most healing and learning can happen. A state where people are most sincere. And in the words of Brother Malcolm, sincerity is my only credential. So we'll let sincerity ground us in our conversation today and in our work moving forward. With that being said, I'm excited to have our beautiful panel introduce themselves. We're going to let folks say their name, their pronouns, the organization they're with, and what type of art they create. So my name is Maxwell Frost, he, him pronouns. I went March for Our Lives, and I'm a drummer. I've been playing since the second grade, and I'm also a live event producer. So we'll go ahead and let everyone else introduce themselves as well. We'll go in order. Hello, everybody.
Hi, Max. Thank you for doing that and welcoming us all so warmly. My name is Lauren. I go by the She series. I'm an organizer and co-founder of March for Our Lives. And in my art, I use multiple mediums with an emphasis on painting.
Yeah, thank you, Maxwell. That was a really beautiful introduction. My name is Gracie Peckrell. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I do digital illustration as well as painting that focuses on inspiring others to take action on gun violence.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that opening. I was over here jamming. It was absolutely amazing. My name is Miss Yandy Smith. I go by all things she and her. I am a producer of film and television. I've also worked in the music industry for over 10 years now with some of the biggest R&B and hip hop acts today.
Hi, everybody. My name is Matthew Hogan-Miller. Thank you so much for that intro. I go by the He series. I am the social media manager at March for Our Lives. I focus on graphic design, but am no stranger to multimedia. And truly, I use my art to channel advocacy and inspire others to take action.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. So really quick, we're going to start with a quick lightning round. And the question is, if you were an egg and we cracked you open, what song would come out? And just give like a sentence why. So again, if you were an egg and we cracked you open, what song would come out? And we can go in order for this one too. So we'll start with Lauren.
Okay, way to put the pressure on me. I'm not sure. I think realistically, I would want it, or in my mind, I would want it to be some like Frank Ocean song, some like beautiful song that I feel so emotionally attached to. But in reality, it's probably some like Tierra Whack song, something silly.
For me right now, I think it's I Know How I Feel by Parcels. It's just a jam and it's been stuck in my head like all day long.
So there's this new amazing artist, and I'm going to find the name before we get off, but he has this song and he does a dance every time he does any song. He's like, arrest the officers that killed Breonna Taylor. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but he's so incredibly talented. That's totally my mood and my vibe right now.
I love that. Right now, I think my song would be World on Fire. I don't know the artist, but it is this amazing song about how even if the whole world was on fire, you wouldn't know because of how close you are to somebody. And I think communicating to people and really connecting is where I'm at right now.
Yeah, definitely. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much for that. So let's get into it. I'm going to ask a few questions and we can just popcorn and y'all can just answer as you see fit. So the first question, there's a video that actually Lauren had shared with me like months ago when we met in DC before the world started ending. And it was a video about, it was an African-American singer. And she was talking about how she uses her voice to take up space, not just spiritually and in the musical realm that we usually think about, but like physical sonic space, and take up that space for a cause or for a reason. And so my question to y'all is, how do you use art to take up space in a healthy way that empowers others or promotes a cause?
I think I'll start. For me, on the television side, it's always been so important for me to use that platform to have a voice for the most marginalized and amplify their needs. So with one of the shows that I started out as a producer, then I became a talent, it was so super important for me to have a unique space and voice that uplifted and amplified the voices of margin. At the time, I was in hip hop, and I felt like women were the most marginalized because we didn't have a huge voice, especially women that were behind the scenes in hip hop. A lot of the times we were the pillars, we were some of the executives, the marketing directors, we were the managers, but we weren't represented the way I felt like we should be represented. So one of the shows we started was to amplify that voice and give these women a platform to show how important their role is in pushing forward hip hop. And even with that, we're so multidimensional and there's so many things that we go through and deal with. But giving these women a platform and a voice to show, one, how important their voice is and how needed their voice is. And for me, it was important to do that through artistry, because I knew that that's something that everyone could connect to, right? Like everyone loves music, everyone loves, being entertained in some form of fashion, but also being educated through that forum where you can see this is what women do in hip hop. Although there are not many of us that may, be on the front lines rapping, singing, but we are definitely pillars behind the scene, making noise and making things move. And that was important for us to show.
Absolutely. So it's funny you bring that up, Maxwell, because that video definitely had an impact on me. But before I start, I want to make sure everybody knows that woman's name was Bernice Reagan. She was a singer during the civil rights movement. Really great video. And so I think for me, taking up space is more creating space in my mind because I use art as a form of therapy. So it's kind of getting my thoughts and my moods onto paper so I have open space to heal within myself. So it's more creating room instead of taking up space.
Yeah, I think really the primary job of the artist, no matter what medium or form of art that you do, it's sharing stories. And I think our ability to share stories can literally take up space because, for me, it's really important to me to show through my art that others matter, others who may not have their lives anymore due to gun violence, police violence, and depicting them as the queens and kings they were in their life that they weren't recognized as. And I think that when we create, we are reflecting our society back onto itself. And I think truly, being successful in creating space means that you can't look away from the faces and the stories that that deserve to be shared and do not deserve, I think, so often victims of gun violence and police violence, their entire lives are reduced to maybe a paragraph and a blurry photo. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the most painful thing for artists to witness. As we think about ourselves, imagining if our own lives and all our accomplishments and everything that we've done was reduced to a paragraph and a blurry photo. So our job is to expand that and allow others' lives to take up space.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think I definitely echo what you say. I think like using our art to take up that space, especially in the world of social media, it's so easy for something to become a hashtag. We've seen it happen within the last few months. And so using our art to honor people and truly to use our skills to honor the most marginalized is so important. I think in social media work, and especially when we're in kind of the world we are in today, it's about using art to create advocacy. So art brings attention to things, it's informative, it's transformative. So what we need to do is help people take action quickly, effectively. I think often when I create a graphic, there's like a list of bullet points of things that need to be included, like the event and what's going on and where people should head. But my initial thought isn't any of those, but it's how are we going to stand out in the stream of content that's continuing to go? How are we going to get young people to care about this issue, this topic? How are we going to get people to actually take action? And I think especially now we see so many informative pieces and so many pieces that are being widely shared, not only because they're good information, but because they're beautiful and people want to share them and people want to spread them widely. So I think often taking up that space is about using artists to distribute information in a beautiful way. That way we can actually enact change by getting as many people as possible to see our work. Yeah, I think creating beautiful pieces takes up that space, and advocacy is deeply integrated with that.
Yeah, no, thank you all so much. And Gracie, what you said about the blurry photo is something I was just thinking about a few days ago, because I was putting together just a video with music of pictures of people just for myself, not really to release to anybody, and just sitting there, and I would type in someone's name, and it would just be the same photo over and over and over and over again on like Google Images. And like I love what you said about expanding that and expanding it to like the true story of who they were, and that's beautiful. Next question: what does peace in yourself look like? And also the second part is, what does peace in your art look like? And are they the same thing? And that's actually a question that comes from Martial Lives, we have a program called Remix, where we talk about art, and so that question's from Remix. So shout out to Bria and Vickiana for that question. But what does peace look like in yourself, and what does peace look like in your art?
I think for me, it looks like balance, because I think so many of us carry the misconception that if we're not fully happy, or if we're fully on the other end of the spectrum and we're really depressed and anxious, that's how we attain peace, as being the happiest that we can be. And I think that really it's just tapping in and to all of your emotions and being okay with that. And I think that peace in my art and peace in myself are not really separate. I think it's just peace looks like me forming a connection that is meaningful to me with the pieces that I create, that's fulfilling, something fulfilling to me.
I think, so I was on Remix once, and I think I remember this question, and I think my answer has changed since then. I think in today's world, I don't know what peace looks like within myself. To me, peace looks like internal calm. It's hard to be peaceful when the very nation we live on is built on these oppressive systems, and it's so clearly coming forward now. And I don't think I'll ever be truly internally at peace until we live in a truly just society. Because I think peace for me, peace internally looks like the world cares for me, and the whole world doesn't care for me. The whole world doesn't care for all. And these systems of white supremacy, these systems of hierarchy prevent that peace. So often I think my art is used to create peace by combating those systems, right? So a few months ago, I did a series of the movement and how the world of advocacy has changed me. And I realized I felt the closest to peace when creating those pieces. So I think the things that bring me closest are things that communicate empowerment and growth and actual change. So yeah, I guess I don't have the answer, but I hope we get to a point in my lifetime where I do.
Yeah, for me, I feel like peace is the goal, right? I feel like right now, while there is so much disruption, there's so much chaos, there's so much crazy, just within our nation, within our communities, it's hard for me when I see so many of my people just not in a peaceful place. Not just because of the current pandemic, but it's been an epidemic that has been ongoing for so long for people of color, that even when there is some sort of balance, right? Like you talked about in your life, there's always something more that's unjust happening on the other side, just across the street, just up the block, where constantly your peace is disrupted. So now what makes me feel whole and what makes me feel like a sense of walking towards that goal is constantly being involved in the fight, constantly feeling like I am actively being an activist for some of these things to change. And I find calm in that. I won't say that I find peace in that, because for all of our victories, every time someone is arrested and then we have to wait for them to be charged and convicted, or every time, someone is brought to justice, there's another something that's going to happen right around the corner. I have yet to truly find peace with the world, but where I find solace and comfort is seeing my children grow up loving everyone, seeing my children on their schoolyard playing with everyone. When my son runs in the house and he has all of his friends, and I see so many different colorful people run in my doors, and I know that my children generally and just they love everyone. That is such an amazing, beautiful, peaceful thought because it makes me believe that the world one day, when they're older, can possibly be that beautiful. And that is peace for me is the goal. It's something that we continually have to fight towards. And until then, I feel like my artistry will be disruptive, just like this world, right? So right now, the artistry, I'm producing a television show called Until Freedom. And it's highlighting all the systemic oppression. It's highlighting the movers and shakers in this space that are disrupting everywhere they go, making noise. You know, just recently we were covering the Louisville 87 that got arrested for protesting on Daniel Cameron's yard. You know, we were filming and it wasn't easy filming that. And even when our film crew got arrested and I got arrested, all of those things are things that we're doing to disrupt and dismantle these systems. But there's nothing peaceful going through it. And I think that's kind of a road that we've chosen, not to be peaceful and to highlight that through our artistry as well.
Definitely. So, okay. I want to take a step away from the questions that I made up. I want to unpack something real quick that Matthew said. So Matthew, you brought up pretty much that like it's going to be maybe impossible or very difficult to find like a real peace in this world we live in that's just messed up and like there's so much injustice going on. But it's gonna be messed up for a long time. So I guess my question is, do we think that creating art can help us find that inner peace despite the conditions that we live in? Sort of like kind of like creating a bubble that allows us to exist in an environment where we can, whether it be 5 minutes or an hour, really be truly peaceful? Or do we think like it's just like, nah, like this country is just so messed up that I just can't find it? Do we think that art can help us with that or no?
I think,
and it's for every, like you can answer that anyone else.
Yeah, I think personally, and everybody feel free to disagree with me, but personally, I think that art can only heal us from the divide that these oppressive systems cause, but it can't actually put us into a state of full peace. And I think art is a factor in creating that peace through action. But personally, I don't think I'll be able to find peace when I know that right outside my bubble is something that can pop it so quickly. And kind of echoing what Yandy said is we can find calm. We can find these little aspects in our daily life that help us cope and get through these oppressive systems and to remain in a state of calm and balance. But we shouldn't have to balance, right? We shouldn't have to have the negative and the positive on both sides. It should just be, it should be good. We should live in a world that is just and good. And I think it's our nation, it's the world, it is every aspect, and truly we won't see it in our lifetimes. It's the status of which like society has been built on. So I don't think we will see it in our lifetimes, but I think art can help bring comfort to people, and art can help people change that system, and it'll be us chipping away little by little. We're all a part of that chipping away. We've taken action to chip at it. And we can only hope that our art inspires people after us to continue to chip away at these systems. So one day, generations down, the artists that come after are only painting and creating out of true joy. They're not creating out of pain anymore because they don't have to, because society supports them fully.
Definitely. Anybody else?
Oh, go ahead, Lauren.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I think that's really beautiful, thinking of the long term instead of just ourselves. And I also think instead of maybe using the word peace, exchange that with nourishment instead, because at this moment, I agree, I'm not sure if any of us will be able to get peace in a system that's so unjust currently. But I think we need to focus on our own nourishment, whether that be, drinking water, eating food, because we need to make sure that our body is maintaining peace before we can focus on maintaining mental peace. And if we don't take care of ourselves, we're just going to do injustice to everyone around us. So I think it's not highlighted enough, but making sure we're taking care of ourselves so in the future future generations can create art out of joy and not hate, so we can solve these injustices and so we don't get burned out in activist circles.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned earlier, the job of the artist is storytelling, but I also believe that the job of the artist is creating windows into what our world could look like. And I think that every time an artist creates a piece, their colors and their imaginations are defying such a dark and painful world. And I think that's the strongest antithesis to the oppressive world that we're living in is imagination. And that is what artists strive in, is the job of imagining. So we need to keep building these windows so people can recognize and denormalize what we're living in right now and see what we could have until eventually we are able to build a door where we can be in that world.
Yeah, definitely. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much, for sure. Okay. So the next question is one that I think we've all heard before, and I just kind of want to like pose it out there. What way do mainstream artists, do you believe that they have a social responsibility to use their platform for good? Pretty much. So like the biggest artists, whether it be like J. Cole, Kendrick Lamar, Demi Lovato, Selena Gomez, The Weeknd, just like the biggest artists, Ed Sheeran, Drake. Do these folks have like a moral imperative, social responsibility to use their platforms for good, and why?
See, I'd love to answer that and say yes. Working with so many artists that I've worked with, a lot of them are dealing with their own internal struggles, injustices, or the way they've grown up, and they're fighting their own demons, right? And we put a lot of pressure on our entertainers. We put a lot of pressure on the people that are in the forefront. One, assuming that they have the knowledge. Two, assuming that they have the mental capacity. Three, assuming that they're willing and able to take on the role of being socially responsible or being role models. Not always understanding they signed on to entertain. They signed on to make you sing to their bop, or to make you laugh on TV, or to make you be entertained by watching their show. Personally, I feel like it is your personal moral, for sure. It's what you need to do personally with your own morals to make the decision. Like, I want to be socially responsible, and I want to use this platform for good, and I want to be able to enlighten and educate and uplift. But I think so many people that become artists is because they're looking for an escape. They're looking for a way for their pain to show. They're looking to tell their story in the most non-judgmental, because once you put it out there, they don't know if it's your story, someone else's story. They don't know if it's your pain or someone else's pain. And some of them don't have the capacity to think about uplifting because they're hurt, or because they've been through so much. And music or their paintings or their TV shows are just the way of them expressing that hurt and that pain. And then I feel like they need the nourishment, and they need us to take care of them. So how then can we put that on them, that plight, to be responsible socially, if that's just not who they are or what they have on the inside? So I'm always kind of like, because personally, myself as an artist, I feel like, yes, it is my responsibility, but I work hard to make sure that I am uplifted so that I can uplift others. Everyone is not like that.
I think I definitely agree. I think when you're put into a spotlight, you're often put into so much pressure to perform, and to not only perform, but to be socially conscious. We talk about cancel culture often. Like you get canceled if you say something wrong. You get canceled if you don't say the right thing. You get canceled if you don't speak at all. I think I'm a firm believer, though, in silence being complicity. Like, I think there is a lot of power to that. I think mainstream artists can use their platform to uplift. especially when they aren't the experts on the issues. The nature of being a large artist is you grow your audience by creating palatable art. And there's nothing wrong with creating palatable art. It's easily shared, it's easily digested. But in some ways, that art is generic and just a product of survival, right? Like we need to survive in the society we're in, so we need to make sure that our art is as shareable as possible and can be digested by as many people as possible, so it can be bought by as many people as possible. And I believe artists who create this palatable art can use the platform they gain from being palatable and capture the masses to use their platform for good. Like at the start of this whole entire live, we saw Sankofa play that video with all of these celebrities speaking, and they're using their platform to spread awareness. So when artists and creators use their platform to enact change, and they help organizations like March for Our Lives or Sankofa, they're movement building, and they're going against the status quo of digestible media. Like they're using their platform that is digestible to dismantle those systems and create an impact.
Gotcha. Thank you so much. So on that kind of same topic, what way does mainstream art that doesn't really have a deep meaning, how can that help the movement, right? Because I think a lot of times when we talk about art and activism, people think we're going to talk about J. Cole, or Kendrick Lamar, or like Rhapsody, very specific people who like their music speaks to the issues very specifically. But does like other mainstream art have a place in the movement? Because like for me personally, right, like after a long day of protesting, I might get in my car and, you know, blast that little Uzi, you know what I mean? Like first I drop my top. So like, what does that have a place in the movement? Can it help people heal, or is it just like, is that just secular mainstream stuff and like it exists in a different area or a different place?
Absolutely. I think that everyone is important. I think every voice is important. And just like in the movement, you have some people that are social media activists, you have some people that donate, you have some people that are on the front lines marching. I think everyone plays a role that is important. And just like you said, you might need to be inspired by a Little Uzi record to get up and go out. And it might not be Little Uzi saying, okay, go get out there and march for Black Lives Matter, or go get out there and fight. But just that beat, that drum, the way he rides on the track can make you just get up there and want to just do something. And that do something for you might be, I'm going to get out there and I'm going to fight for this cause. And I think that everyone plays a role, and you just have to figure out what your role is, right? My role is not the same as Maxwell's role. It's not the same as Lauren's role or Matthew's role or Gracie's role. But I have a very important role. And I think that if we all just figure out through our artistry, through our voice, what that role is, we can change the world for sure. And we can be true change agents where we're comfortable in our own space.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Next question. I think a lot of times, so, you know, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to plug something real quick. I own a small music festival called Mad Soul Music and Arts Festival. We raise money to feed homeless kids in Orlando. It's a great festival. And I remember being in high school. I think it was in high school, and I turned on the Super Bowl halftime show. I don't watch football. I don't know anything about sports. I tried. I failed. But either way, I was watching the halftime show. Bruno Mars came on and did his thing, and it changed my life forever. I mean, I watched that Bruno Mars halftime show like 100 times in 1 week, and I was like, I want to do this. I want to make a show. Like it changed my life. So I think a lot of times people overlook the power of live art, and not just live music, but live art in general, any kind of art. The power of witnessing someone create in person. How can movements work to integrate live art more?
So, sorry, I just need to mention this. The first thing I thought about when you said that is Manuel Oliver, who runs Change the Ref, an organization that helps end gun violence. And he does live murals in different locations where gun violence is present or where a mass shooting has happened. And he paints his son, who he lost in the shooting at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. And every time I've seen him make that art, it's almost as if he is speaking directly from his soul. And I think the ability of March for Our Lives to have him come different places with us and perform that rather than us speaking is so powerful. And I think that's a great way of bringing in artists to the movement. By bringing in artists, specifically, I can talk about like gun violence prevention activism, but bringing in people who have been affected by things like gun violence in to be the actual artist. And even if you're not great at speaking, you're able to paint, to draw, and speak that way.
I was just about to bring up Manny, and you said, yeah, I think everything that Lauren said is so, so important. And I also want to mention not just watching someone else paint, but another really important thing is interactive art and giving other people the access to the tools to create art. I did an event called Let Peace Live for families affected by gun violence. It was an art workshop, and my friend's Classroom of Compassion allowed people to make floral art and flower crowns, and there was poetry and journal making and quilt making, like all these things. And to see people who've experienced the greatest pain that there is walk out of a building all smiling and wearing flower crowns with holding proudly the art that they made is just, was so overwhelming to witness people actively being healed by art. It's such a therapeutic tool, and I think that activists themselves who may not be artists, everyone, people affected, need to have access to those creative outlets.
Absolutely.
100%, 100%. All right, cool. So we're getting down to the last question here. We're going to do a kind of a lightning round. The question is, are there any current artists, music, visual arts, dance, producers, anything, actors, that you're currently listening to or consuming? And what healing or what messages are you really getting from that artist? And we can go in order for this one. So, Lauren.
Okay, so this is a little silly, but an artist that I've recently discovered and been consuming a lot of is Vanessa Stockard. She's an artist. She does paintings, and she paints scenes, like still lives, but with little tiny cats, like behind things. And it's just really cute, and it's always, something light to make me feel better in this crazy world.
Yeah, I just have to really say Manny again, Manuel Oliver. I was a part of his son Joaquin's 20th birthday celebration, and I just feel so uplifted from that experience and really unified. So yes, Manny, if you're not familiar with him, please check out his art and change the ref.
I love it. So the artist I was talking about earlier, his name is Toby. I think it's Inigwe. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he is amazing, and he absolutely uses his artistry to discuss social issues. A really popular song that he did was "Arrest the Officers That Killed Breonna Taylor," and literally that is the whole song. This is him here. You gotta look him up. It's Tobe, Tobe, Inigwe, and literally the whole song is just "Arrest the Officers That Killed Breonna Taylor," but he's saying it all different ways with a beat behind him, and he has these dance moves. It's amazing. It makes you just like the repetitiveness of it makes you want to get out there and scream it out, yell it out. I was at a protest. We were playing this back to back to back going down the street, and he's just amazing. So he has a full album, and it's really, really, really good.
I have two, but I'll be quick. Recently I got back into listening to Tracy Chapman. I went off of it for a while, and now I'm back. We Talking About a Revolution, really good jam. Everybody should go listen. And I don't have the name off the top of my head, but I follow this account on Instagram, and they spend the same amount of time and minutes as the years that someone's lived on painting the people that have died from police violence. And it's truly been so inspiring to see somebody take the time and display that in such a beautiful way. Gracie, you nodded. Do you know the name?
I don't know the name, but I know the artist.
Well, I'm sure we can find it at some point, and I'll definitely share it. But it's an amazing piece, and I just truly love art that takes up space and advocacy.
Awesome. And for me, Stevie Wonder right now, I always go into phases where I'm just listening to only Stevie Wonder. And yeah, it's just Stevie. Songs in the Key of Life, one of the best albums ever made. Awesome. So we're going to come right back. But first, I am very, very excited to introduce one of my favorite artists, actually. And they actually headlined my music festival last year. So excited to introduce them here virtually, all the way from Brooklyn, New York. New York. Give it up for the genre-bending, genre-defying Phony people!
What's good, everybody? LB3 from Phony People here, and I just want to give the big bless up and the big thank you to March for Our Lives for all the work they're doing to end gun violence everywhere, and all the work they're doing to fight for justice for everyone. It's people like y'all who are making this world a better place. So keep doing what you're doing, please, we need it. Won't you please enjoy this performance of Helga by Phony People? Enjoy. Threes. Yeah.
I know what you're thinking. I'm dreaming the same thing too. In Helga Pataki, I'm seeing through how you move. Ever since forever, you've stayed in the role you've played. So help me, Tacky, let's clean up this mess you made. Oh, here we go. Don't you thinking I'm dreaming the same thing too? Yes, I promise. So in love with me, I know this I've been yeah. Tell me the truth, and I need and I believe. Oh. Hey. Oh. Mr. Matthew on the drums. Hey, do your dance. Help the tacky. Whoa. Hey, you know what to do. Hey. La 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 la. La 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 la. Oh. Oh my God. Get up this bed. Oh, oh. Oh, hey. Have mercy. Oh, la, yeah. Hey. Thank you so much. That was Hope by Phony People. Couch Concert Series 3. We got Elijah Rock on guitar, Adrian on the keys, Barry Bass on the bass, Matthew on the drums, and I'm LB3 on the mic. Oh, hey, chicken.
Woo! Nothing but a smile on my face. Shout out Phony People. Make sure you go and follow them online. That's Phony PPL. Phony PPL. Amazing music. And that's actually my favorite Phony People song. It's called Helga. So make sure you check that out. We're going to bring the panelists back in. Wasn't that some amazing music, y'all? Yeah, just amazing. All right.
So good.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So we're going to go around real quick. I want to give everybody a chance to plug anything they're working on art-wise, whatever you want. And we can start with Lauren.
Well, I'm just working on some personal kind of therapeutic stuff, so I have nothing to plug yet.
Sounds good.
Yeah, thank you again to everybody here. This has been absolutely amazing, and thank you so much, Maxwell, for being such an awesome moderator. Yeah, I've just got done with a really overwhelming week project-wise. I've been creating a lot of stuff. For the Guacathon, the celebration of Joaquin's 20th birthday, I live painted a jean jacket that is getting auctioned off. That's kind of cool, hippie 70s-ish looking. And I did a drawing of Breonna Taylor that's been posted by Beyonce and a lot of really, really amazing people. And that's been extremely emotional and overwhelming. And but yeah, that's pretty much what's been going on with my art right now.
That is awesome. Right now, I am working on a project called Until Freedom, and you can follow them on social media, untilfreedom.com as well. We are currently producing a show, and it's literally documenting the road until freedom.
Really quick, I want to drop Gracie Lee's it's Gracie Lee Art on Instagram. Make sure you go follow. She does amazing work. On my end, working for March for Our Lives, please follow. We have a project coming out in the next few weeks. It is the Women of March for Our Lives, a bunch of powerful women on a poster. I had the privilege of illustrating. I've been inspired by so many of them, and they've truly been so empowering and impactful in my career and my activism and things that we all need to learn. So feel free to follow March for Our Lives, and then you can follow my personal on Twitter. It's Matthew Hogan. That's MattheWhogen, and I post my art there.
And really quick, Matthew, you mentioned the artist who draws colors in the faces of police violence victims. His name is Adrian Brandon, and on Instagram, he's at ayy.bee.
Thank you so much for finding that.
Awesome. And I'll just plug my music festival. It's called Mad Soul Festival. You can type that in on Instagram or Twitter. Give us a follow. And Enzo Stranger, the artist I manage, go ahead and check him out. And then if you'd like to follow me, my Instagram is FrostyMax. It's FROSTYMAX. And my Twitter is TheRealFrost_. Both made in middle school. So all right. Well, thank you all so much for coming. Next up, we're really excited to play you a video to kind of play us out. Yesterday, March for Our Lives ran our first TV ad ever. And so we're telling those in power that the young people are going to determine our nation's future and that we're ready to do what needs to be done when it needs to be done. And so thank you all for coming here today. I hope you all will go on and use what makes you unique, whether it be art, whether it be speech, whatever, to inspire convictions in individuals, which will drive them to make a difference in the world. So to end today's live stream, I present to you March for Our Lives' first ever TV ad. Have a great day. Thank you.
When we were stuck inside, we wondered, would we face the plague of gun violence again? Will we fear gathering in our schools and our churches again? Will we be shot for the color of our skin again? But a fight for justice forced us out to fill the empty streets. Black Americans are still being killed for being Black in America. The pandemic hitting Black, Indigenous, and people of color disproportionately has only worsened the epidemic of gun violence in those same communities. Because it's clear the fight for racial justice is still on, and we won't live without it. In Colorado, he stood against hatred, but in Wisconsin, he carried a Confederate flag. In Arizona, she stood for her patients, but in Michigan, she carried a swastika. They bought guns in record numbers, but we took it to the streets. So when we leave our homes this time, will the people carrying weapons of war and banners of hatred decide our future again? Or will we stand up and demonstrate our power? Our power means we demand all gun sales will be licensed. Our power means we demand weapons of war be banned for good. Our power means lawmakers must listen. Our power means we refuse to watch Black people be murdered in the streets. Our power means we refuse to fear for our lives. We refuse to live without justice. It's our power, and we will use it.